Hey friends, welcome into another episode of DIRTRACKR Conversations. Atomic Speedway has been a fixture of the Ohio dirt racing scene for a very long time, and as of late 2021, the track has a new owner. Charlie Vest has come in, take control of the racetrack. He's a businessman, he's got a motorsports background, and he's hit the ground running. For 2022, the track has a massive schedule that includes just about every major dirt racing series in the country, including the World of Outlaws, Lucas, USAC, the All-Stars, you name it, it's going to be at Atomic Speedway this season. Charlie joins me to talk about acquiring the Speedway, his own background in motorsports, racing sprint cars, and what his future plans look like for the racetrack. It's a solid about 40 minutes here with Charlie, so please enjoy the episode. A lot of stuff happening at Atomic Speedway this year. Your guys' schedule is insane. You literally have every big dirt racing series coming through Atomic this year, but you are a relatively new owner at the racetrack. So tell me the story of you getting involved in Atomic. And actually, I was just looking through my own website. I have a ton of stats and stuff, and you're in my website as a sprint car racer for some of the stuff you've done. But tell me the story about acquiring the racetrack here in the last couple of months.
Well, it all started. It's pretty crazy because I actually grew up in and around the track, and it's a kind of a very country atmosphere out around the speedway is a good way to put it. And I grew up listening to the cars, and we used to go to the track, and I would say really one of the first people that really kind of inspired my love for not just, I was always a kid playing with Hot Wheels and Matchbox and, making all the crazy sounds and doing the whole deal. But I didn't have the money to race when I was little, but I remember going to the track. But I saw Jeff Gordon. Atomic One was one of the few tracks, I think one of the three in the country at the time, that would let him race at like 14 and 15. So Jeff would come to Atomic and just walk the dog. It was awesome, to see, what he could do, and I would have been, 7, 8, 9 years old, however old that was. And I remember being like, wow, like that's awesome. I want to do that. And it was great. It was great, growing up out in the hills, and you have a completely different perspective, I think, when you come from not much. So that when you do get to the point of where you're lucky enough to be in motorsports, you just have a different appreciation for them, because it's, as you know, being around the Cup world, very expensive. And it doesn't matter what level of racing you do, it's insanely expensive. And the only difference between the race car and the racetrack is the racetrack eats every day. I can put the sprint cars in the corner of the shop, leave them there. They're fine. They'll collect dust for me, but outside of that, they don't cost me anything. Not the racetrack. It wakes up every day and it's hungry. So it's that was kind of when my first racing venture was, I was lucky enough in business to get to the point of where when I wanted to start racing, I had the funds. And I literally did, like, there was a racing school at Lakeland Speedway, because I lived in Central Florida for almost 20 years. And I didn't know what to do about racing. I didn't know how to start. I knew I loved it. I knew I wanted to be a part of it. I just was never fortunate enough to do anything about it. Went to a racing school, tried to buy the racing school. Like I didn't know what to do. I was just all over the place. I had more money than brains at that point. And, I knew I wanted to be involved. I didn't know what to do. And so basically, we ended up starting a deal and started doing like driver development, leasing race cars, and got real heavy in the late model scene there in Central Florida. I had a really successful company. I partnered up with a guy that was super talented when it comes to like setting up race cars. And we had a Penske shop deal, which, at the point I didn't even know what, I'm like, Penske, they rent trucks. Like, what do they know about race cars? That's how stupid I was. I was completely ignorant. And then we just came up. We had a great family that came in that we did development for, that moved up through the ranks, which then helped me. I was spotting for, ARCA and trucks, and, ended up, kind of just working my way through, and ended up owning a truck team, ended up racing trucks, racing ARCA. Swore I would never come back to Ohio. There was no way I would ever move back to this place. My daughter was born in 2011, and I'll be damned, I was back in Ohio in 2012. So I'd always, I love racing. It's awesome. It was kind of weird coming from the asphalt world and then trying to bounce into the dirt world. because I mean, I do have the sprint car, but I absolutely suck. But I plan to not suck soon, I hope. But I got really lucky. Andy Hillenberg's a friend of mine, and he referred me to a guy by the name of Danny Smith. And so it was kind of funny. This is how dumb I am. I met Danny Smith, couldn't tell you what he looked like. I actually walked in and shook hands with his crew chief, thought that was Danny Smith. Like I was a moron, but Danny has helped me a lot. I have a lot of the local guys that have helped, and it's kind of cool that sprint car group is kind of a tight little social network. Like they really do look out for each other. I mean, they go at it. They're on the ball, and they're super competitive. I mean, I'm sure you know probably even way better than I do, but man, it's crazy, especially in Ohio. Like you're racing with some of the best guys in the world just on a weekly basis. You know what I mean? Like, I got to know guys like Jack Hodenshield and Todd Kane and, all these guys. And I think we take it for granted because they just come to Atomic and race and hang out. And you're like, oh yeah, I raced with that guy. Well, Danny Smith, he's a Hall of Famer, you know what I mean? And he just hangs out. I stop at his shop and, get fuel or whatever. So it's tough when you get to the track because, I was used to winning. I won the second race I was ever in that I ever raced in a late model. And I'm lucky to get out of a freaking B main in the sprint car. So I don't like it. I mean, I love it, but I don't like not being as competitive, as I was in the other ranks. The first DIRTRACKR race I ever ran was in one of Hillenberg's cars, and I finished like 8th, and it was insane. I was like, all right, that's it. I'm going dirt racing. It's awesome, man. You have no idea. Like these cars, it was funny. I heard an interview that Kyle Larson did with Dale Jr. Download, and he completely summarized what I do. And he was making fun of all the guys that go to the Chili Bowl. You're talking about indie guys and all that. I mean, guys that are super, super successful, but he's just laughing at them because they're just cranking on the wheel. That's me, man. Like I'm sawing logs and I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's a blast, and I'm trying to learn and take the steps necessary to get better. And that's kind of how we did it. And I got involved with the track. The previous owner, I actually went to high school with and graduated with, and he, they were kind of in a transitional period, and the gentleman that came in that was a partner with him, it just kind of come together there, in the fall last year in August. And, I came and was helping with the track a little bit, doing some things. And, before you know it, we're coming on as the primary, and really kind of, I'm trying to utilize the contacts that I made in North Carolina that really takes the track from just a short track. Atomic is by far anything but just a short track. I mean, the world's fastest 3/8 mile dirt track, it had that tag for a long time for a reason. It is bad fast. I mean, this place smokes, and it's crazy. And I think Stewart and, everybody still comes to the track with Larson and Stewart, and they'll tell you it can be highly technical. And now that we've smoothed the surface out, it's the real deal. I mean, you gotta have your A game when you come and race an Atomic. So, it just came to be, and the opportunity arose, and, we took it. And that's why we were so aggressive with the schedule. Everybody thinks that it was probably just my rookie ignorance that did it. But it's not. There's actually, I'm a technology guy. That's where I made my money, and that's what I kind of lean on for business. And there was a lot of analytics that goes into building the schedule, and I think we have a good package. And I think we're going to get rainouts, and we're going to have all the things that everybody has, and then we'll stack it. And we're doing some things to speed our schedule along. So if there are times when we have rainouts, we've got to go to the next week and take that premier race from that evening. We'll stack it on top of the next week. And if we have to run 4 or 5 classes, it's funny because I did a thing and went to Boyd's and went to some other tracks in the South. They run 7 or 8 classes on a night. You do that in the Midwest, and they are going to burn your place to the ground. Yeah. Like, they want 3 to 4 races. You better have sprint cars and late models on the same night, and, blah, 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 blah. And they want to be out of there. They want to walk in at 7, be done by 8, home for dinner at 9. I'm like, that's a great idea. That just doesn't pay the bills. So, and that's kind of what we've done. We've diversified the classes a little bit. We've added some, not so I can run 6 classes, but so we could always run 4. And then some of our classes that are more kind of economy classes, like our sport mods and sport compacts and 305s and that stuff, we alternate them so that they'll run, a couple of weeks and get a week off, either regroup or go race somewhere else. I'm a big fan of the tracks. We did something pretty cool this year with the tracks getting together on some rules in one of our economy classes. So kind of went on a rant there about the whole deal, but it was kind of a long, cumbersome story. So hopefully I covered the basis on the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. As somebody that has kind of the breadth and depth of motorsports experience that you have, you know probably better than most how difficult the track business is. So why is that something that's appealing to you at this point to get into the track business?
Maybe I'm a martyr. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm not real fearful of challenge, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you what really did it was the people at the track. There's a gentleman there that is like my third cousin, and he has been there for over 30 years. His name is Jeff Hober. This track can take care of itself. It's got people that believe in the track, whether I'm the owner, whether Jim Neer's the owner, whether, all the people in the past, not that anyone ever did a bad job or anyone's wrong, but the group of people, the community believe in this racetrack. And as long as I don't screw it up and I give them the tools necessary to succeed, I saw that as an opportunity to hopefully, and that's why having the Outlaws and the All-Stars and the big block modifieds, like who would ever guess that? I brought the big block modifieds because I think they're freaking cool. You know what I mean? Like I watch them, we went to Charlotte, we went here and went there. That's a great group. Now, is it going to cost us a little money because I've got to bring in, and run sprint cars with them just to make sure I get a front gate? Yes. But I'm hoping when people see these big block modifieds, they're begging to have them back. So, I believe in the track and the people. There are multiple people at our racetrack that have been there for years. I mean, we have a lady that is a scorer and she's been there for 30 years. We have Mike Goins. He's a local Hall of Fame announcer. He believes in the racetrack. There's so many of these guys that have been there through and through. It doesn't matter who's here, who's doing what. The track itself can succeed. And I don't see it as me coming in and having to change everything. I just have to do everything in my power, use my resources to give them the tools. I said at the beginning, and I think some people took it the wrong way when I said to the next level. I think people are maybe kind of getting what I meant by that now. Like, I don't want it just to be a local or regional track. I want it to be a national track. I want people to know about the track. And then it's my job to do and utilize the things that I know to get that crazy schedule. You're right. Our schedule is absolutely freaking insane. Absolutely insane. So my job now is I can't just crush that, 1,000 or 1,100 people that we get every week. I've got to bring in more crowd. I've got to bring in, I don't want to, I got to be careful with my words when I say it, but when I say diverse, I mean that from all different levels of diversity. There's local racing. Sometimes I think it's a bad rap and it kind of gets judged unfairly on the people that come to the racetrack. And I don't think that's fair. And I want to prove to everybody that it's not fair. And that's why we're bringing in, big name concerts and monster truck shows. I got to show people that don't normally come to the track that this is an entertainment venue that's worthy of your dollar and it's worthy of your attention. And I've got the staff that's been waiting to prove it. And that's why we do it. I believe in the track and I believe in the staff. And that's kind of why we did it.
I know you guys are making a ton of improvements and I would like you to run through kind of all the different things you've done, but when you take ownership of the track too, was there like a period where you kind of wanted to just see things and then you decide on what you want to fix? Or did you know coming in the things that you wanted to make better there?
I didn't know anything. I was an idiot. Honestly, I was just, the first, when we took over, I told everybody, and everybody had a real hard time with this because they would ask me over and over. And I was almost like, God, like how many times am I going to answer the same question? I did nothing. I changed nothing. We honored the points from last year. We ran, even if they were procedures that I wasn't sure about or didn't really know about, we ran them because at the very least, our job, I think, as owners and promoters is you got to have continuity. You have to have continuity in what you're doing because the racers, when you change the rules, they lose their freaking minds. Mm-hmm. And I get that because you spend a lot of money and you build your program around those rules. And then when somebody changes them in the middle of the season, it may completely jack you up. You know what I mean? It may make it so hard. And if you're already stretching the dollar, oh, and by the way, now you have to have another $400 part and take that other part off. That doesn't go very well, especially with local racing. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to run out the local racers just because I bring in the national. The national series want the, the local guys. They need everyone's support. So I did nothing. And I really, sorry, I'm not sure if you're still there. I had a call try to come through.
No, you're good.
So basically I did nothing but watch. And that's why I really believe in the staff that's there now, because I did nothing. I mean, I honestly just sat back and watched and asked a lot of questions. And I think anybody that goes into business or takes over a business, unless they're highly familiar with the industry or something, I think that's something everybody needs. And I observed from August on, unless it was safety, I didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, hey, this is how we work. This is how we function. This is what you're used to. This is what the racers want. This is what everybody needs. Let's do it this way. And that's how I did it. So, and the whole time I'm taking notes and I'm making, I'm like, hey, I think it would be cool for this. And I think it'd be cool for that. And maybe we should this. But then again, I went back to that staff that I told you that I have so much confidence in, said, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? There's a lot of things they said about, well, you can't because, we've tried this or we've tried that, rethink and because they're the ones that have the knowledge and the experience. And I have to lean on them, to tell me, whether or not I'm making a rule that puts us in a rabbit hole, that we can't get back out of. And that's what I did. So everything that I'm doing is really more resource-based. And, I'll ask the question, how do we speed up a show? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Like, how can we make this faster? Well, between every feature, we, stop on the front stretch and do this whole thing. And, well, maybe it doesn't need to happen on the front stretch. So how do I do that and still keep the fans involved? You know what I mean? So those are the things you need to ask yourself a lot of questions before you start making statements. And that's really what I did. I asked a lot of questions, probably a lot of stupid questions, but you know what I mean? But I think we have a plan and some solutions because of the questions.
I know Dave told me new clay, you guys are moving walls, there's fencing, there's the better surface. Is all of that complete, or is that kind of still ongoing? Like, give me an update on the track right now.
Yeah. So you're in North Carolina. So no, we have not, we've moved some dirt. We've got a lot of the quoting. We have some other things that we're trying to do as well. And weather is kind of a hindrance and just getting things, when our track, with it being clay, when our track gets wet, it's wet for days. So you can't get a dump truck or you can't get certain pieces of equipment anywhere even near the thing during those times. But we have moved all the dirt. We've got all the surveys done. We've had the fence guys come out and get all their quoting and everything. And we're not behind the 8 ball yet, but we're creeping up on it. But yes, we're moving walls just to try to give turn 3 a little more of a clear radius. We're not moving it to change competition or anything like that. We're just moving it because right now it's kind of got some flat spots in it where it's kind of been squared off here and there. We're just trying to make it a little more racy where, you can follow the radius, follow the curvature of the track a little better. We have to put fencing up because that was the deal in order to get the World of Outlaws and the All-Stars back. Eric Walls and Tom Devitt, great guys. We had a great meeting when they came out and they made safety recommendations. And, there were even a couple of things that are like, well, we like the, we like this, we don't like that. We were all ears to that. As long, it was safety and they were awesome. Like, they didn't ask us anything to, didn't ask us to do anything that wasn't truly viable and truly in the essence of safety. So that's what we did. We made our plan around that, new fence, new catch fence, do this. We have some super grandeur plans about new bleachers. We're trying to get that done, but man, you can only do so much. We're also putting concrete pads in the pits for the teams so that when they pit, they roll their cars out on concrete, which is so nice because our track, man, when it rains, if you're at the track and it rains, I mean, I've left there before and literally spent 2 hours when I got home just spraying the mud, spraying the clay out of the trailer. I'm just trying to make it, I look at things, I think, a little bit different since I'm a racer and you got to be careful. You don't want to chase the dragon, but I've got a back gate customer and I got a front gate customer and I've got to do things for both customers. You know what I mean? Like, I've got to let the racers know I appreciate them being there. You know, they're my show, and I've got to get the best show that I can. And for that, I've got to give them some amenities as well as our front gate. We have a lot of things that we're doing for our front gate customers too. A fan zone, things for kids to do. You know, you're up against it right now as a racetrack. You're an entertainment venue, just like, you know, like your cell phone or like your Xbox, or everybody is up against the same thing. Why is it worth it for you to make the trip, drive an hour, drive 2 hours, and come to my facility? Like, what do I have to offer you? It's not just great racing. It doesn't do it anymore. I mean, because there's too much other stuff. So how do we do that? Well, I believe you entertain the kids. You get the kids involved, you entertain the kids, you make it fun, you make it good, and you'll have everything that you need. And that's kind of my goal, is to, again, when I was talking about next level, is to really just raise the bar on the entertainment value of Atomic Speedway week in and week out. And there's some things we're doing with technology and streaming media too. We're working with some partners to, you know, I want all of our events streamed. I mean, we have so many plans, and there's so many things that we can do, you know, outside of the brick and mortar stuff. And those are things that we're doing. But, you know, the pads in the pits, we're going to get that done. The fencing, we're going to get that done. Nothing as far as competitive. The clay, once we get the walls moved, then we'll start dumping clay. I've got a guy that he's crazy awesome at moving dirt. He's an old school guy, and we got him on board. So when we go, we're gonna make the banking similar to the way it was, you know, a few years ago, and go to some really cool ideas there. Which again, I've asked Danny and some of those guys, like, hey, I want to have an awesome competitive surface. What do we do? How do I bring multiple lanes of racing? What can I do there? And I'm referencing the racers, especially. I mean, when you got a guy like Danny Smith that, you know, I drive by his house every day, I'm going to take advantage of that guy every chance I can.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about the crazy schedule, and you're having World of Outlaws sprint cars and late models, the USAC sprint cars, All Stars, Lucas, Super Dirt Car Series, Big Block Modifieds. It's been a couple of years since Atomic. They had a Lucas show in 2021, but it, you know, for all these other series, it's been several years, and since even the All Stars were there. What's it like when you start making those phone calls saying, hey, what do I got to do to get you to Atomic? What, you know, did you have to convince them? Were they immediately on board? What do those conversations look like?
A lot of like pretty please. And, you know, I mean, honestly, those guys, it was received very well. Again, because of the history of the track. I don't think it was ever an instance of where they didn't want to be there. I just think there were, you know, some things in place that, you know, I think there were some bumps on the road with the relationship with those series. My whole thing was I needed to address what the issue was or was not. And the safety was one. And, you know, as long as they were telling me, hey, you know, this is kind of what we think. And this is why these are some of the things we think. Atomic is so fast. And even our racers will tell you that, you know, a lot of tracks are slower. So if you fall into the excuse of, well, you know, this track does this, or this truck does that. Okay, but this track and that track isn't running 130 miles an hour, you know, wide open in a 410 sprint car. And a lot of guys will tell you, I mean, I have really, really successful, good racers that'll tell me, you know, Atomic scares me because it is. I mean, and it doesn't take anything as tight as it is, as fast as it is at certain times. So we have to kind of architect our deal a little differently, and can't use well, this guy does it. Well, guess what? I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? Will we ever be Eldora? No. You know what I mean? Will we ever be Knoxville? No. But I can still put on some awesome racing. I can build my facility up to maybe I can be a little better than Eldora and Knoxville in some levels. You know what I mean? Maybe I can offer a completely different atmosphere because they're big, prestigious, awesome facilities. So I've got to make the best out of our little, awesome, fast facility. And how do I do that? And we're back to experience. And so I think by me going to them and just kind of hat in hand saying, hey man, like what we got to do here? Like, you know, let's cut the crap, you know, let's talk about what it is you do or don't like. And to just be quite honest, that's where when Eric and Tom showed up, like I said, it was a super positive meeting. They weren't in there, you know, busting chops. They weren't like, oh, you're not this, you're not that. They're like, hey, we'd like to see this, we'd like to see that. And I agreed with everything they said because I've been around there. I mean, I backflipped over the fence in August testing. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. And it hurts. I broke my back there 3 years ago. And all I did was hit the top of the track with the chassis. Hell, the guy that helped me actually ran the car that night as I'm on my way to the hospital to find out I crushed a vertebrae in my back. So, and he's like, hey, the car was good. And I'm like, that's funny. Cause then we found out later chassis was bent, where it hit the track. But you just, I appreciate what I have. And I also appreciate input. Now, is all of it valid? No. You get a lot of opinions when you own a racetrack. And it's really funny sometimes. But when you have guys like Eric Walls, Tom Devitt, and the powers that be come in, and I'll be honest, dealing with Carlton Ramers, Jared Frood with the All-Stars. A lot of people don't know Jared. He's kind of an administrative guy.
Yep.
Super important dude, though. You know what I mean? Like, he's really nice. It's funny because he's an accountant, but he's a really nice guy. I met him years ago, and he's been very, very helpful, and I think very influential. Just the fact that I've been able to chew on his ear. And Casey Schumann with the World of Outlaws. I talked to these guys, and some of these other series like Chris Tilley with the Ironman series. I went and saw him at Boyd's in October. He's the one's like, hey, come down because we're going to do the Bose Extravaganza. We're going to bring John Snyder in, do like 3 or 4 days on Mother's Day weekend, and it was great. You know what I mean? And then I got my local guys. I've got OVSCA that shows up. I got Fast, the Fast series. Aaron Fry. He's been super helpful. And like I said, a lot of those guys, they've got their opinions and things that they would like to see. But for the most part, I think the track was always there and was always not. I think it was always on the whiteboard. It was just kind of down there with an asterisk. And I think we've just wiped that asterisk away. And the series guys are really excited to come back because they know that we can provide really cool racing, and they know that we have different things that we can do. So I'm excited to showcase that and just hope we don't screw it up. That's kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah. You mentioned streaming in there, and streaming is something that it has been a huge boost to the industry in the last couple of years. And I spent a ton of time in my time at World Racing Group working on Dirt Vision. So the streaming stuff is something I know a lot about. It's interesting to hear that you want all of your events streamed, because it seems like when it comes to that stuff, you have very strong opinions one way or the other, that, either tracks love it or tracks hate it. And from your standpoint, why is it important to you to have all of the races available online to watch?
It's the way it is. Technology, you're never going to deny or beat technology. And I think with the fact that I'm in technology, I get it. I'm 47 years old. So the first computer I touched, was an old Texas Instrument, where you typed in 40 lines of code and made a ball go across the screen. So it's here. And what really, I don't want to say sucks about it, because I use my terminology very casually, but it can reach so many people so quickly. And then it's truly archived, and you can then go back and watch that at any time, at your leisure, because I don't have time. Half the stuff I watch is DVR. Mm-hmm. So I think it's probably my kids where, I'm a guy that, we have DirecTV, or I watch standard news. I turn on the, ABC, CBS, NBC, and I watch, races or watch news or whatever. So I'm kind of old school, but I've noticed with these younger generations, it's all streaming, and that, I mean, and like when we did our RV trip, we watched more Roku than we did anything else. And everybody's going to that, YouTube TV and all these different platforms. That's all streaming. It's all internet based. I have a Wi-Fi. I have a wireless internet service provider, and I have a lot of people that don't even, they do the open air antenna, but they don't even care anymore. They watch more Netflix or more this or more that. So I'm not afraid of technology, because I know that I can take advantage of it, and I can manipulate it for my best interest. And I know it's the way that it's going. And I've got to figure out, as a racetrack, how do I capitalize on it? How do I make this an asset and not feel it's a deterrent, how many tracks do? Because there's a way, and we better figure it out, because I just think it's here. So I've got to display, I got to put my best foot forward on every race. I got to show them why. I'm a guy that if I'm going to go to a Reds game or a Bengals game or go watch a NASCAR race, I'm going, and I'm going for the experience. That's why I'm going, because I want to be there. You know what I mean? Now, does that make the coverage any less valuable to me? No. Does it deter me from going? Nope. You know what I mean? It's irrelevant in my mind and me as a person. But that's where that's where the streaming platforms too, it's tough for them because they know that's what the tracks are up against. So we have to kind of cover our basis a little bit. And, like the ones we're dealing with, they realize they've got to, monetarily, there's got to be some give and take there because, I can't take the chance of losing 1,000 fans a night. Do I think that's the case? No, because I think my diehards, they're coming. And in the times of COVID, is there a way? And I think the model will change vastly when it comes to streaming and how streaming and tracks work together. Because I don't think we have fully understood yet, not just the value, but the technical aspect is one, but how does everybody capitalize on it? Everybody has to make money or nobody exists, and everybody gets that. But how do we do that? My whole thing is I'm going to use that technology to show everyone why you need to come to Atomic. There's going to be things that you're not going to get the things being thrown in the grandstands. You're not going to be a part of 50-50. You're not going to be able to meet drivers. There's a lot of things that you can't do, but I also have to entice people to do the streaming. So our numbers are higher. So we get paid more. So it's just the way it is. It's like everything else we've had to deal with in the last couple of years. You adapt, you make the best of it. Hopefully you capitalize on it, you overcome it. I'm used to evolving with technology, and I think that's where I don't have the fear of the evolution as some of the standard business models have, where they rely so heavily on that gate. They got to have that 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people in every week, and now they're petrified of what this streaming thing's going to take out of their grandstands. I don't see it that way. I see it more as an opportunity. And so how do I do that? How do I broadcast to 200,000 people that are going to watch it because I have the World of Outlaws are on Dirt Vision or all the All-Stars. Okay, well, we race every week. So how do I get you to come to my track? That's how I see it. It's an opportunity for me to showcase versus a deterrent of my fans to show up.
Yeah. I'll let you go here pretty quick. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but I want to talk about your racing and how a guy that goes from pavement stuff, ARCA trucks, late models, and then one day is like, you know what, I'm going to go get in a sprint car. Explain to me that thought process and how it went some of those early first times you got in a sprint car.
So when I came back to Ohio, it was almost like I was when I was in Florida when I started. I knew nobody. I was right back to freaking square one. Like I didn't know anybody. And the only thing that's around here is dirt tracks. Like there's no asphalt. So if it was asphalt, I'd have been fine. I could have went and got a late model and done that whole deal and it would have been great. Well, there was nothing. My thing is I don't get to drink that much because I got 2 kids. Thank God I'm not addicted to any drugs. I don't smoke. So I have no addictions other than racing. And no matter what. So when I was back here, like I didn't know what to do. So my first bout of racing in Ohio, not running trucks or doing anything, I bought a 74 Volkswagen and started running autocross, which is freaking awesome. It is so much fun because it's fun. It wasn't a business. You know how the business of motorsports, man, it'll wear you out. Mm-hmm. This was a good time. You're at a fair, you're having fun, and all you're doing is just beating cars up and hitting jumps and having a blast. And it totally changed. Actually, the first car I got from Patrick Sheltra because he ran our truck at Talladega and destroyed it. So Patrick had Annie up, and I ended up with one of his late models and drove that thing. And man, I didn't like it. I didn't feel it. I don't think it was set up properly. So it wasn't good. For me, it wasn't a good experience. And that's why I called Andy, because I know Andy knew everybody when it comes to sprint cars. And I was like, hey man, like what? I want to run something. He's like, I'll get you a sprint car. You'll love it. You're just dumb enough that, you'll want to get in a 410. I was like, all right, cool. So I did. I just called Danny and I'm like, hey, my neighbor who helps me a lot too, his name is Bob Tucker. He helps he's a real good fabricator and knows a lot about the mechanics of sprint cars. And he's the one, he saw the late model. He calls them sailboats. He's like, oh, you got to get rid of this, and run sprint cars. And I was like, yeah, we'll see. And man, that first day I ran it, the track was just stupid dusty. It was at Atomic, super slick. And I got out of there. I mean, we burnt, 2 tires all the way down just to just bare flat. And it's just, they're so much fun. They are so fun, but they're wicked. A sprint car, a 410 sprint car is a wicked beast. And especially when you're moving, I was finally getting up to where I was running, fairly competitive laps at Atomic. When you're wide open at Atomic in a sprint car, dragging the brake, getting in, maybe rolling off, doing what you got to do. It's fast. And that's where, with the changes we made this year, it's real important because we smooth the track out. So the bumps, you get bouncing in a sprint car, you might just end up somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my focus has been. When the wall came in, that was a big issue for some people when they added the wall and two and down the back. But what I've tried to do is make the wall less relevant, because I'm trying to make the track race a little differently, to where the fear of plowing into that wall has kind of gone away. And so I was talking to like Cole and Rodney Duncan, but they've been great help. I've got great support from them. And, my whole thing is I want them to be less afraid of hitting that wall and worried about that fence. And we can do that. There's things that we can do with our racetrack to make the track race as safe as you can. If you want to race and be super safe, we do everything we can in these sprint cars to make them. But I mean, you hate to ever say it, but it's a risk. I mean, running a 410 sprint car at a very fast race track is a risk. And it's an awesome fun risk. And I think that's what makes us all stupid that race them. But until you run, have you ever raced one? Have you ever ran a 410?
No.
Dude, you should. I'll tell you what. Come to Ohio when you're not doing your crazy NASCAR schedule, and hop in a car. I'll get you and let you take one around. It's insane. It's an insane deal. It's awesome.
Are you done racing? Are you going to keep racing? Like, I know if we look around, obviously Tony still races, and we've got Brian Carter getting in stuff at World Racing Groups. Are you going to keep racing even while you're owning this racetrack?
I plan to. Last year it wasn't well. One, I destroyed the track, or destroyed my car right before. I mean, when I say destroyed, I should have sent you the video so you could have seen it before, because all we had was a security video. But I destroyed the car I had, but I have some more cars now, and I do plan to race. But the business of the racetrack comes first, because obviously the racing for me at this point is a hobby. There are people that race 410 sprint cars and late models. That's their job. There's these owners. I mean, it's the real deal. And that was something that I couldn't believe. I didn't realize how serious the dirt track racing was. I really didn't. And it's super serious. I mean, these guys are spending big money, on not just World of Outlaws. I mean, All Stars, and you've got the Ironman series and the Renegades and some of these other guys, and you're spending, hundreds of thousands, if not, $1 million. So it's the real deal. So yes, I do plan to run. I've just got to make sure the track is my priority and the business of the track first. But I haven't been on the track since we smoothed it out, and I can't wait, because I cannot wait, just to see what everybody's talking about, and kind of enjoy the fruits of everyone's labor. So that's kind of my goal. But I've got a motor right now at Gressman's that's got to be picked up. I got my All Pro redone. So I've got some fresh horsepower. I'm going to Daytona. I got to go to Daytona for meetings in February. And I thought about dragging the sprint car down just in case.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I can't decide. I can't decide.
Well, I'll let you go. Give me before we close out, give me the elevator pitch. Why should people come check out Atomic Speedway this year?
With our schedule and the things that we are bringing back to the track, kind of back to the heyday, the 80s, the racing is going to be phenomenal. We're changing up the fan experience itself. We're creating a complete fan zone. We're getting a lot of our vendors involved. So there's a lot more to do at the racetrack now. We're going to have a lot more to do with the kids, like RC car racing and maybe like scavenger hunts. And so that way, when you bring the kids, and, kids get antsy and some kids get bored. If mom and dad want to come and have a good time, I've got stuff for you to do. The kids want to have fun, and I've got things for everyone to do at the racetrack and enjoy it as a true entertainment. It's going to be like a racetrack amusement park. I mean, I'm not going to put up the Ferris wheel like Daytona, but I don't know. Maybe I will.
Maybe you can.
Yeah, maybe I can. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm just going to give everybody a lot more immersive. And I think that's why our schedule was so important, because I needed to bring in those big groups of fans so that they could see. And our local racing isn't going away. I mean, we have 20 some special events, and we're adding camping this year. So I want the families to come for the long weekend. and stay and have fun and just kind of see, get out of the house, get away from the television, get away from the devices, and get back to being outside and enjoying life, as more of a traditional method of being out with the kids and the family and having fun. And I think that we can do that just like camping, just like going to the fair, just like going to the zoo. We're offering the same type of experience, and with all the giveaways and stuff we're doing, maybe you'll leave with some cool, fun, free stuff.
Nice. Well, Charlie Vest, I appreciate the time today. Good luck with the racetrack.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Take care. Maybe we'll see you soon.